Ever feel like you're standing at a whiskey bar, just staring at this wall of bottles?
Like a liquid library?
It's intimidating, right?
It can be.
But not for you.
No.
You dove in headfirst for this deep dive. Tasting notes, maps, you name it. You're practically speaking whiskey at this point.
I love that.
What we're doing today is like we're crafting you a personalized tasting passport.
Oh, I like that analogy, yeah. Because just like traveling, exploring whiskey, it's about discovering, that unique character of each region.
Right.
And you've given us quite the itinerary to work with.
We're talking Scotch, every region, from Speyside to Islay.
Wow.
And we've got Irish whiskey, American bourbon and rye. You even gave us some notes on Japanese whiskey.
This is going to be quite a trip.
It really is. This is going to be a good one.
Yeah.
So with each stop, we can actually use the tasting notes that you gave us to unlock what your palate, what you really enjoy.
I like it. A personalized flavor guide.
Exactly.
All right.
All right. So first stamp on our passport, Scotland.
Of course, the OG.
It's like Scotland has whiskey practically stamped on its soul.
Right. It's like their birthright.
What makes it such a powerhouse when it comes to whiskey?
Well, I mean, centuries of tradition, for one. But it's also the climate. Cool, damp air, which is perfect for aging.
Makes sense.
And the water. Scotland has an abundance of pure, soft water, which is crucial for distillation.
Yeah, you can practically taste the landscape in every sip.
You really can.
It's incredible.
It's true.
So let's start with a region that's often called the Gateway, Scotch Speyside.
Okay.
And your notes mention words like honey and orchard fruits. It's giving very approachable vibes, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, exactly. Speyside is known for its elegant single malts, often matured in those ex-bourbon barrels, which impart those vanilla and caramel notes that you picked up on.
It's so good.
And fun fact, Speyside is particularly known for a flavor compound called pear drops.
Really?
Which gives it that distinctive, fruity sweetness.
See, pear drops, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, so if Speyside is the gentle introduction,
Okay.
the Highlands are where things get a little more interesting, right?
Oh, absolutely. The Highlands are vast, and that's reflected in their whiskey. You've got everything from light and floral to robust and peaty, sometimes even within the same distillery.
Talk about a choose-your-own-adventure. That's wild.
Yeah, it really is.
Okay, now for the region, I'm equal parts intrigued and intimidated by Islay.
Ooh,
Your notes on Islay whiskeys are intense. I'm seeing medicinal, peat smoke, sea air.
Yeah, Islay is definitely a polarizing region.
Really?
That unmistakable smoky character comes from the peat used to dry the malted barley.
Oh, right.
It's a very specific flavor profile. Some find it bracing, others incredibly complex. You're going to get iodine, seaweed, even a hint of burnt rubber alongside that campfire smokiness.
I am already imagining these tasting notes.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so we've done intense, we've done approachable. What about those who like things a bit more classic?
Then we must venture to Campbelltown.
Campbelltown, okay?
This small but mighty region was once a whiskey-producing powerhouse.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Campbelltown whiskeys are known for their full-bodied flavor, brine, salt air, and a certain richness that's often compared to, like, old libraries and antique shops.
Old libraries, okay? I'm adding that to my whiskey vocabulary.
go.
And last but not least, the lowlands, which your notes describe as, well, the opposite of Islay.
In many ways, yes.
Okay.
If Islay is a roaring fire,
Yes.
the lowlands are like a gentle meadow.
I like it.
The whiskeys here tend to be light, grassy, with delicate floral notes. They're known for their smooth, easy drinking style.
Yeah.
Perfect for, a sunny afternoon.
It really does sound perfect for a sunny afternoon.
Right.
So we've explored the rugged beauty of Scotland and all its whiskey regions. Now let's hop across the Irish Sea. How does Irish whiskey compare to all this?
Well, Irish whiskey, they often take a different approach to distillation.
Oh, really? How so?
They typically triple distill their whiskey, which results in a much smoother, lighter spirit.
Triple distilled. So does that mean it's smoother, like on a molecular level?
You could say that. Yeah, each distillation cycle really refines that spirit, removes impurities, creates this like silkier texture.
Wow.
That's really what gives Irish whiskey that signature smooth character.
Huh.
A lot of people describe it as creamy, with notes of honey, orchard fruits, and then just a whisper of spice.
That's fat. It's like chemistry meets craftsmanship.
It really is.
Okay, if you're new to whiskey, but
Yeah.
you love those smooth, honeyed flavors,
Right.
Irish whiskey could be a good starting point.
Absolutely. And it's incredibly versatile, too. I
Okay.
mean, think about it. Classic cocktails, a splash of water, even just enjoyed neat.
Very cool, very cool.
Oh.
Okay, Next stamp on our Whiskey Passport America.
All right, let's do it.
And here we're diving into the world of bourbon and rye.
Two classics.
Your notes here are particularly interesting,
Okay.
with mentions of, like, corn and spice.
Ah, yes. Well, American whiskey is a fascinating world, and a lot of that comes from the legal definitions, right? So bourbon, for example, has to be made from at least 51% corn and aged in new charred oak barrels.
So that's where those signature flavors come from.
You got it. That corn lends that sweetness.
Okay.
You'll get notes of caramel, vanilla, sometimes even a hint of brown sugar.
Really?
And those charred oak barrels, those add layers of spice, that toastiness,
It's all coming together.
and that warming finish that bourbon is known for.
So it really is kind of like baking a cake. It's not just the ingredients.
Yeah.
It's the pan, too.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. And speaking of distinct flavors, we've got to talk about rye whiskey.
Right, because your notes here mention bold and spicy. It's a very different story than that sweeter bourbon profile.
Yes, because rye, as the name might suggest, has to be made from at least 51% rye grain.
Okay.
And that's what gives it that spicier, more assertive character.
Interesting.
Think black pepper, clove, sometimes even a minty freshness.
Really?
It's a truly unique American spirit.
And this is like my favorite part, both bourbon and rye. They're incredibly diverse.
Oh, they are.
It's not just about the grain. There's so many other factors.
You're telling me climate, the water source, even the yeast strains used for fermentation, all of that influences the final flavor.
It's amazing.
It's what makes exploring American whiskey so exciting, because there's always something new to discover.
There really is. Okay.
Yeah.
We've journeyed from the Highlands of Scotland to the heart of America. Where to next?
Well, how about we venture east to the land of the rising sun
Ooh.
and meticulously crafted spirits, Japan.
Japanese whiskey. I remember reading that they were inspired by Scotch whiskey production,
Mhm.
but they brought their own unique approach to it.
Right, you could say that they studied the rule book so that they could write their own.
I love that.
Japanese whiskey is known for its precision, its balance,
Mm-hmm.
and this certain elegance that is captivating whiskey enthusiasts worldwide.
I've even seen some Japanese whiskeys described as having more of an umami character.
Oh, absolutely. And while that's not like a traditional tasting note in whiskey, the Japanese concept of umami, that savory, brothy depth,
Mm-hmm.
it can definitely be found in some of their whiskeys. It's all about finding harmony between the flavors.
This is really making me realize how much more there is to whiskey than just the taste.
Right.
It's the history, it's the culture, it's almost philosophical.
It is.
But before we get too existential here, I think we have a few more stamps to add to our whiskey passport, don't we?
We do. And these next ones prove just how global the world of whiskey has become.
You've got notes on Canadian, Indian, and Taiwanese whiskeys.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Talk about a globe-trotting experience.
It really is a testament to how whiskey, once a regional spirit, has become this truly global phenomenon.
So true. All right, let's start with Canada. What makes their whiskey unique?
Well, Canadian whiskey has a reputation for being very smooth and approachable,
Okay.
often a bit lighter in style.
I've also heard it described as easy drinking. Would you say that's accurate?
It can be. Canadian whiskey regulations actually allow for a lot of flexibility in their production,
Oh, interesting.
which has led to, a pretty wide range of styles.
Good.
But generally, you're going to find those notes of caramel, vanilla, and just a gentle spiciness.
Got it.
Perfect for sipping neat or even just mixing it up in a cocktail.
Love it. Okay, now for a region that's really piqued my curiosity, India.
Oh yeah, India's doing really interesting things.
Your notes mention tropical fruits
Uh-huh.
and spice. That's quite a departure from, say, your typical Scottish single malt.
Yeah, well, Indian whiskey has a fascinating history.
Okay.
And it's really gaining recognition, and quickly, for its unique flavor profiles.
Hmm.
Because of the warmer climate, the maturation process is accelerated, which is what leads to those really rich, fruity notes that you mentioned.
Right.
And of course, they use those local grains and spices, which adds this distinctive character that's just undeniably Indian.
It's like those flavors are woven into the fabric of the whiskey.
I like that. That's a great way to put it.
Okay, last but not least, we have Taiwan.
All right.
Now, I'll admit I haven't had a ton of Taiwanese whiskey, but Your notes mentioned boldness and complexity.
Yes.
Tell me more.
Yeah, Taiwanese whiskey is another rising star in the whiskey world. Like India, Taiwan has that warmer climate, which again is going to lead to a faster maturation. So you get these whiskeys that are often described as robust, fruity, and just full of character.
Got it.
And, they're not afraid to experiment with different cask finishes either, which really adds another layer of complexity.
Okay, I'm officially adding Taiwanese whiskey to my must-try list.
You should. It's good stuff.
This has been incredible.
It's been fun.
This whole journey, we traveled the world, explored different flavors, we uncovered some hidden gems, all without leaving our seats.
That's the beauty of whiskey. It's like a passport to a world of sensory experiences.
Well said. Each sip tells a story.
Yes.
A story of place, of tradition, craftsmanship.
All of that is in the glass.
It really is.
Yeah.
So, as we prepare to stamp that final mark on this whiskey tasting passport, what's one key takeaway you hope our listener walks away with today?
I would just say, don't be afraid to explore.
I love that.
Use your newfound knowledge, trust your palate, and above all, enjoy the journey of discovering what you love in the world of whiskey.
Cheers to that. And to you, dear listener, happy whiskey adventuring.